So, today I'm going to be working in my small circle journal, but look, if you remember a while ago I did some digi-stamps, what I called mini-me's or mini-mics. These have now been turned into red rubber stamps. How fantastic are they? So I've done a collection of, I haven't taken the back off that yet. This is how new they are, look. Drop that back onto the laminate, right, okay. So you can see there's the three of the mini mics. We've got a selection of sentiments, be yourself, everyone else is taken. That's what I'm going to be using today. We've got youth is a gift of nature, but age is a work of art, whatever. We are the dreamers of tomorrow, and there's no one is rich enough to buy back their youth, and it's my birthday suit, which goes quite nicely with this one. So there's a nice selection of sort of quirky-ish sentiments and the three mini mic rubber stamps. And if you're interested, they measure in metric about 10 centimeters, so that's about 4 inches, and roughly from hand to hand 6, so just over 2, about 2.5. But the others are only about 1.5 inches, so they're very easy to be able to fit onto any kind of project. So about 3 centimeters wide, about 3 centimeters wide. So 1.5-ish at the widest point, maybe. Yeah, 1.25-ish. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to use these stamps today. I'm going to use, I think, this one, and also the be yourself, everyone else is taken. But first of all, I'm going to have to cut these out from the back of the sheet. Now, I do believe IndigoBlu do either the full plate, or if you want them already pre-cut out, you can also get them pre-cut out as well. So, but I've got a pair of scissors, so I can do mine manually. So I'm going to go off and do that first, and then I'm going to create my art journal page, also using one of my new DigiKits, which only went on the website very, very recently. There's a 3-page DigiKit, and there is a postcard background paper with them all higgledy-piggledy, and there are 2 sets of postcard ephemera in different sizes. So I'm going to be using those today on my art journal page. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So as you can see, I'm working in my 8-inch circle journal today and using the matte medium from Mod Podge. This is the paper one, so this is totally flat and matte. It's not shiny at all. I'm going to completely cover the circle page, and then I'm going to cover the back of the printed digi sheet. This is the higgledy-piggledy postcard one, and this is page 3 of the set. Because I'm using European A4 size, it's 210 wide, which is just big enough to completely cover the 8-inch circle. The Digi download set, when you purchase them from my website, will be on 8.5 by 11. Because I have an A4 printer, I just resize mine, tell it to fit the page when I print it, so I can resize it down to A4 without that much difference. There is a slight variation in size, but it's not huge. But if you're in the US or anywhere else that uses the 8.5 by 11 inch page size, then these will fit too. And as you can see, I have a new craft tool as well. My pink one finally gave up the ghost, so I had to purchase a new one from Ranger. This is the black one with the European plug. So now it's all dry, I'm going to just cut off all the excess with a pair of scissors around the outside of my circle journal. My page is all nice and dry and trimmed, all the excess paper has gone, so I now want to tone down that background just a little bit by adding a little bit of white gesso. So for this I'm going to use the IndigoBlu white gesso. This is the Gesso Good, and I'm going to apply it with my finger. I'm getting messy today. So I'm just going to rub the paint into the edges of the page, just blending it with my finger. I can't remember the last time I applied some paint with my finger. It's quite liberating. It's like being a big kid again. Okay, so that's enough swaying to the music while you're watching. Don't think I can't see you, because I can. So it's now time just to give it a quick dry with the heat gun to make sure that it's all set and in place for when we move on to the next step. Next, I want to use some of those ephemera postcards, the tiny postcards on one of the other sheets from that postcard digiset. So I'm just going to cut out all the ones that I want to use in the ephemera cluster that I want to create on the front of my page. So I'm just going to snip them all out, all the different sizes that I want, and then arrange them how I think they're going to work best on the page. And then I think I'm going to distress the edges a little. So I'm going to stamp my main focal image, the mini mic, onto a number 8 Ranger craft tag. So I just want to make sure I've got the right placing on the page for where I want it to go. So I'm just going to arrange everything where I think it's going to go. I will take a quick photograph of it just to make sure that I can remember where I've put everything, and now it's time to do the distress. So I have the tree branch archival ink from Ranger and one of the circle blending tools. I'm first of all going to go all the way around the outside of my page just to give it that little bit of an aged effect, and then I'm going to do all the individual little bits of ephemera that I've got too, including the craft tag. Now that I have the first distress layer of that tree branch on there, I now want to bring in a darker colour. So for that, I'm going to bring in my potting soil archival ink, and I'm going to go around the edges again, just adding in a little bit of darker colour on those edges, just to make it look a little bit more warm. I'm now happy with how the ephemera is looking. It's all nice and grungy. So now it's time to begin my stamping. So I'm going to grab one of the postcards, the blue one that has no writing on it at all, and my jet black archival ink. And then I've taken the sentiment from the stamp set and already popped it onto an acrylic block. I'm just going to ink it up with the jet black archival ink and then stamp it onto the postcard. Perfect. Anybody would think I'd done this before. Now it's time to stamp the main focal image. Now I changed my mind as to which one of the mini mics I was going to use. Instead of using the one with the dicky bow tie, I decided to use the more casual one with his hands in his pockets. So I'm going to grab the tag and then I'm just going to stamp that down over to the right hand side of the craft tag. Now this is a manila tag, it's not white, which means I'm already going to be starting off with a kind of yellowish base. But I'm now going to do something that I don't do very often. I'm going to get out my Copics, or Copics, depending on how you want to pronounce it. So these are the colours on screen, they're in the bottom left hand corner as I use them, and I'll just sit back, or you can just sit back and listen to the music, and I'll shut up for a while until I've finished colouring in the mini mic. So just finishing blending out the colours on his sneakers, and I'm going to leave the undersoles the colour of the craft card. I'm just going to leave those a light colour. I don't want to do anything else, and that's it. I'm not going to do any more colouring. Up, I'm going to add some script stamp. This is an old silicone script stamp that was on the cover mount of a magazine that I've had in my stash for absolutely ever. I can't even remember which magazine it came from, it's that old. It's one of these really horrible stretchy silicone ones, and it took me ages to get it off the actual piece of plastic. So I'm just randomly stamping it around the tag, and I'm also going to do the same thing on the base of my circle journal page, but obviously just give it a little bit of a blast just to make sure it's dry, just to help it along. And then I'm going to grab my circle page and then do the same thing with the stamp all the way around and just randomly stamp it on. So I'm happy with the stamping in the background now. I did think about using the potting soil as well, just to do a little bit of a variation, but decided against it. So it's now time to stick down my main focal point, my craft tag, and also my embellishment cluster. So for that I'm using the the spirit glue, the multi-purpose spirit glue from Collall. This allows me to have a little bit of wiggle room and a bit of playroom before it finally grabs. So you can maneuver it a bit just to push it into position if you're not happy with it when you first drop it on. So that's why I like using this glue. So using the photograph that I took of the cluster earlier on, just as reference, I have it just out of shot. I'm now going to just stick on all the little postcards that I cut out and distressed in my little embellishment cluster, my little ephemera cluster, and then I will layer in the sentiment for my page. So looking at the page now, just sitting back looking at it, I thought we could do with a little bit more. So I just want to add some more of those little mini postcards and some other little embellishments to go on with it from the same sheet. So I'm just going to cut out another one of the small postcards, which I'm going to stick just to the right of the craft tag. And then I'm going to utilise some of the real small stamps that are on those postcards and add them on there too. But of course I need to distress the edges first of all, so I'm just going to grab my inks again and just run around the edges just to make sure that they all tie in and it's a bit more of a cohesive feel to it. So in my opinion, that looks a lot better with the addition of those two little stamps on the tag and the smaller postcard. So I'm just going to grab my heat gun and just give it a nice little gentle warming just to make sure that the glue has started to set so that I don't knock it and push everything out of place when I start adding on my next little embellishment, which of course has to be a piece of string for the tag. So I've just taken some jute string, it could be hemp, who knows, and I've just tied it into a little bow and just trimming off the excess on the edges of a few stragglers that I want to get rid of, and then I'm just going to add a little bit of that spirit glue just behind the knot, and then I'm going to stick it down where the hole in the tag is. just like that. And then of course I do need to trim off the excess from around the edges of the craft tag just to make the page circle again, and of course I do knock the bow, so I'll stick it back down again. There, I'm happy with that now. So the next I want to add a little bit more stamping. So I have this very old postmark stamp set from a UK company called Lily of the Valley. Now this has the separate elements of the postmark stamp. So you've got the wavy line and the circle that you can position wherever you want to. There's also a set of sentiments that go inside the circle as well, but I just wanted to use that postmark stamp just to add to it. And then I'm happy. So I'm just going to sign it and then grab my date stamp from Staples, and then I'm going to add the date in 2 or 3 different locations around the page. And I think that's it. I'm happy. I'm going to call this page done. But of course I've just got to add that last one, haven't I? I do hope you've enjoyed watching me create this art journal page today using that Mini Mike stamp set, which is now available on the IndigoBlu website, which is IndigoBlu.com, and they do ship internationally, so there's no worries if you think that you might not be able to get hold of it. And also my carte postale digi-downloadable set is also available on my website, and the links for all those you can find in the description area below this video. That's all from me for today. If you've enjoyed the video, please remember to give it a thumbs up, share the video with all your friends because it really does help, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of this video. That's all from me for now. I will see you all again real soon.